Every 4 years, the entire planet stops. Offices empty. Streets go quiet. Billions of people, from Brazil to Japan to Nigeria to Iceland, all stare at the same screen, watching the same sport at the same moment. We're talking about an event so massive that it gets more viewers than the Super Bowl, the Olympics, and the NBA Finals combined. It's called the FIFA World Cup. And if you've never really understood how it works, you're about to. So here's the big question. How do 32 countries from all over the world end up competing in one single tournament? And how does it go from hundreds of countries down to just one champion? It all starts way earlier than most people realize. The World Cup itself only happens once every 4 years. But the qualification process, the road just to get to the tournament, starts about 3 years before that. Over 200 countries enter. Most of them don't make it. Think about that. Over 200 nations fighting for a spot, and only 32 get in. That's already brutal. The world is split into regions, called confederations. Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, North and Central America, and Oceania. Each region gets a certain number of spots in the tournament. Europe gets the most, around 13. South America gets around 4 or 5. And smaller regions like Oceania, sometimes just half a spot, meaning they have to play a playoff against another confederation just to earn their place. So by the time the World Cup actually kicks off, every single team on that field has already survived a war just to be there, the tournament itself. Here's where it gets really interesting. The 32 teams are split into 8 groups, 4 teams per group. This is called the group stage, and this is where things get cutthroat fast. Each team plays the other 3 teams in their group. You win a match? 3 points. Draw, meaning the game ends tied? 1 point each. Lose? 0. Nothing. Go home mentally broken. At the end of the group stage, the top 2 teams from each group advance. The bottom 2, eliminated. Done. Their entire World Cup, years of qualification, months of preparation, over just like that. Now here's something that surprises a lot of people. In football, ties are actually common. Unlike American sports where you almost always get a winner, football matches can end 0-0, and both teams walk away with a point each. It sounds boring, but in the context of the World Cup, a draw can feel like either a lifeline or a disaster, depending on where you are on the table. Okay, so 16 teams survive the group stage. Now what? This is where the tournament transforms completely. We enter the knockout rounds, and the name says everything. 1 match, 1 winner. Lose and you're out. The round of 16 takes 16 teams down to 8. The quarterfinals take 8 down to 4. The semifinals take 4 down to 2. And then, the final. 2 teams. 1 match. 1 champion. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. What happens if a knockout game is tied after 90 minutes? First, you get extra time. 2 extra 15-minute periods. Exhausted players, cramping legs, coaches losing their minds on the sideline. If it's still tied after that, penalty shootout. And if you've never seen a penalty shootout, nothing in sports quite compares. 5 players per team. 1 shot each from the penalty spot. That's just 12 yards from the goal. Goalkeeper versus attacker. 1-on-1. The entire stadium holding its breath. Some of the greatest players in history have missed these. Players who score week in and week out, completely freezing in the biggest moment of their lives. It's ruthless. It's beautiful. And it's probably the most stressful 3 minutes in all of sports. Let's talk about the players for a second. The World Cup is the only time players don't represent their club teams, the teams they play for every week. Instead, they represent their countries. And that changes everything about the atmosphere. A player who plays for Real Madrid in Spain might represent Morocco at the World Cup. His teammate at the club might be representing France. Suddenly, they're opponents. It creates rivalries and storylines that feel genuinely personal. And here's something fascinating. The World Cup has launched the careers of some of the most iconic athletes in human history. A 17-year-old named Pelé scored 6 goals at the 1958 World Cup and became a global icon overnight. A barely known Argentinian named Lionel Messi arrived at the 2006 World Cup and left as the player the world couldn't stop talking about. The stage is that big. One tournament can define a player's entire legacy. Now, here's a fact that genuinely shocks most Americans. The sport the World Cup is built around, football, or what Americans call soccer, is the most played sport on earth. Not baseball, not basketball, not American football. Over 250 million people play it regularly. In most countries, it's not just a sport. It's culture. It's identity. It's generational. When Brazil plays Argentina, we're not just talking about a game. We're talking about two nations with completely different histories, pride, and rivalry, colliding on a pitch for 90 minutes. People cry. They celebrate in the streets. They call in sick to work. That emotional weight is something the World Cup captures unlike anything else. So let's bring it all together. Over 200 countries try to qualify. 32 make it. Those 32 are split into 8 groups and battle through the group stage, where the bottom 2 in each group go home. The top 16 enter the knockout rounds, single elimination, all the way to the final. And somewhere at the end of it all, one country lifts that gold trophy. The whole tournament lasts about a month. But the stories, the moments, the heartbreaks and miracles, those last a lifetime. The last thing worth saying is this: you don't have to know every rule of football to feel the World Cup. The emotion is universal. The drama is undeniable. And once you understand the structure, every match hits completely differently. You'll watch a group stage game and suddenly understand exactly what's at stake. You'll see a team surviving with a last-minute goal and know exactly what they escaped. You'll watch a penalty shootout and feel the pressure physically, even through the screen. That's the World Cup, the biggest sporting event on the planet. And now you actually know how it works. If this helped you make sense of it all, hit subscribe, because there's a lot more to football that's even more interesting than this.